This is the most important XRP Ripple video ever, ladies and gentlemen. The next Ripple SEC meeting is coming up, and papers that prove Ripple won are already starting to leak. This is the greatest positive indicator ever. We are literally just days away from a big pump. Experts in cryptocurrency predict the price might go up to $2,500. That's quite cool. Isn't that right? Let's take it apart. This video will blow your head. Warning. This means that Ripple is once again going against the SEC's rules. And this time, the question it asks might have big effects on the whole digital asset sector, not just XRP. Ripple just sent a fresh letter to the SEC that brought up an important point. When does a crypto asset that was first sold as a security stop being one? It's not only a matter of law. It's a basic test to see if US regulators are ready to change how they deal with blockchain technology. Ripple met with the SEC's Crypto Asset Task Force before sending the letter. It fits well with Commissioner Hester Peirce's recent statement about a new paradigm, in which she pushed the agency to admit that crypto assets change over time and shouldn't be eternally classified depending on where they came from. Ripple's case is based on past court decisions and research. The February 2022 document, The Inevitability of Securities Law, by Lewis Cohen and others, is the most important one. The paper says that a token should not be considered a security once it can be sold freely on the secondary market and is no longer linked to an investment contract. Ripple is definitely leveraging this time to push the SEC to come out with a framework that is more useful and detailed. The important February 2023 verdict by Judge Annalisa Torres, which said that Ripple's institutional sales of XRP contained investment contracts, but its programmatic sales and transactions on secondary marketplaces did not, makes their argument stronger. That difference between how a token is sold at first and how it works afterward goes against the assumption that the asset itself is a security. Ripple is now asking the SEC to use a maturity framework instead of amorphous ideas like decentralization. They think that once a token's network has matured, meaning it runs on its own, has a lengthy history, a lot of market activity, and no one person or group controls it, it should no longer be treated as a security. This idea of maturity could assist the industry avoid the uncertainty that happens when the SEC says that assets like XRP are still tied to their original issuers. Ripple says that making these coins follow securities disclosure rules could backfire and make people think that a business like Ripple still has direct control over XRP. That false idea keeps the story going that XRP is centralized, which Ripple says is no longer true. The complaint also says that Ripple tried to settle the case with the SEC recently, but the proposed accord was turned down because of procedural issues. Ripple isn't backing down, though. Instead, it's going on the attack with this contribution, which will help its legal case and impact the bigger regulatory debate. This push comes at a time when things are changing in Washington. Crypto analyst Amonix tweeted that the SEC is getting ready to have a big conference on digital assets and tokenization. BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, and Fidelity are some of the companies that will be there. That list provides a clear message. Legacy Finance is quickly getting on board with blockchain. Amonix said that XRP was bullish. Another well-known figure in the XRP community, Jack the Rippler, also labeled the latest submission bullish. This shows how important Ripple's question to the SEC is. And he is right. Ripple is telling the old guard that the crypto industry is growing up and that rules need to change with it. It's not simply about winning the case, it's about changing how Americans think about digital assets. Ripple's message is obvious. XRP is not what it used to be, and the legislation should change to reflect that. We don't know if the SEC will listen, but one thing is for sure. Ripple isn't waiting for anyone to tell them what to do. That's interesting, isn't it? But believe me, this is just the start. Ripple's recent actions could drastically transform how the US regulates all cryptocurrencies. And now, the big players are getting involved. The crypto world is becoming hotter. It's going to blow up. Experts are making predictions that sound crazy. The XRP army also thinks that a big change is coming. You aren't ready for what's coming next. Crypto Insight, UK, stated that XRP was moving aggressively, which might mean a big rise that catches a lot of people off guard. After that, Crypto Sensei gave a strong warning. XRP might go up a lot at any time, without a warning. Just take off. Dark Defender says that XRP is developing a new wave structure that might push it up to $23, based on long-term Elliott wave analysis. This is probably the most dramatic claim. These aren't simply guesses. They show that more and more people think that the next big chapter in XRP's tale is already being written. Recently, a well-known chart analyst named Steph took things a step further. He made a long-term graphic that showed XRP might reach $2,500 by 2030. At first look, that sum appears crazy, almost impossible to believe, especially because XRP's market worth is above $136 billion. If XRP were worth $2,500, the total value would be more than $146 trillion, which is more than the whole world's economy. Some people, on the other hand, say that this objection is founded on a false idea, the market cap myth. Many experts say that the fallacy is that market cap somehow limits how high prices can go. But in real-time trading, the price of a token is set by how much people want it and how much is available. The market cap calculation doesn't take into account trading volume, liquidity, or the fact that not all coins are moving at the same time. Most of XRP's supply is tied up in escrow, and if big institutions start using it, the price might go much up, much higher than what standard valuation models say. There have been more bullish views from all throughout the community. Levi firmly said that XRP is going to $500, and XRP Avengers said that XRP is like Bitcoin. But better, XRP might be worth $10,000. These big predictions aren't simply dreams. They show that more and more people believe that Ripple's continued court triumphs, rising alliances with institutions, and clearer rules from US authorities are setting the stage for a generational wealth event. Steph's timeline shows that 2025 to 2026 might be quite important, possibly around the time of the second Bitcoin halving cycle and a bigger bull market. And with Ripple's legal battle coming to an end, knowing what XRP's status is could be the last piece of the puzzle. If the SEC has to admit that XRP is not a security, US-based exchanges, banks and payment processors will be able to use the token on a large scale. But the most interesting thing about this